Okay, does everybody understand what a battleship is?
Yeah,
Okay, what is it?
it's a ship for battle.
Okay.
It carries
What-
supplies. I don't know.
What makes it different from any other ship?
It's strictly not for battle.
Okay. Has guns.
Ammunition.
Big guns, right? Okay, ammunition, obviously, because they've got to shoot those guns. Okay. How long have battleships been around, been used?
Since Pearl Harbor.
Okay. I would say before that, World War One, Civil War. Let me show you some pictures. Battleships have actually been around for as long as navies have been around. The changes between this battleship on the right, which is from about the 1500s, to the USS Arizona, which was sunk during the attack on Pearl Harbor, is the armor. Okay, obviously they're used steel ships now, okay, which are better built to be able to withstand fire from other battleships. Okay, and then also the way that they are able to move through the ocean. So if you think back to like Egyptian times and some of early Chinese warships, they used slaves and had the oars. You'd see these giant ships being moved with oars, basically being pulled through the ocean. Okay, to sailing vessels, the French and the British used those as part of their imperialism throughout the world when they started spreading through Africa, Asia, into the Americas. Okay, to now we have these battleships, okay, which can go anywhere and they shoot huge guns, right? But those guns are basically line of sight, so I can hit something that I can see, right? In World War II, we now had the aircraft carrier, okay, and Japan used it to great effect. This was a drastic change between the way war was fought in World War I and World War II. The aircraft carriers now had a range of roughly 250 miles, okay, where a battleship, which at the time, before World War II, battleships they felt were, they were the premier ship in a navy, meaning the size of your battleship showed how strong your navy was, and World War II totally changed that. If you can now hit a target that's 200 miles away, that gives you great advantage over your enemy if they don't have the same capability. You can hit them before they can hit you. Okay. Japan used them to devastating effect during the attack on Pearl Harbor. Not just the aircrafts, they also used submarines. Okay, submarines were used in the attack. They snuck them in the harbor and actually sunk the USS Oklahoma with a submarine attack. And both the subs and some of the airplanes that were sent on the attack used torpedoes. Okay, you guys all know what a torpedo is.
Yeah.
Right. The torpedoes that they used during the attack, though, were specialized for Pearl Harbor. So Japan had actually been thinking about how are we going to perform this attack on the U.S. They had been thinking about it for a long time, and their engineers came up with different torpedoes than the standard ones. Good example is Pearl Harbor is very shallow, okay, and picture it being like your pool. What happens when you dive into the shallow end of the pool?
Hit your head.
You hit your head, right? Well, if you try and drop a torpedo from a plane, it's like us diving into a pool, all right? And if it's deep water, it goes down and then it comes back up to catch the target that it's aiming for. In Pearl Harbor, because the harbor was so shallow, the American military mines felt that they're safe. That's why we had them parked, stacked side by side, which is a great opportunity if you're trying to attack them. But we felt that, number one, Japan's military and their navy couldn't reach Pearl Harbor without being detected, which they did, okay, using submarines, and then also their aircraft, because they had now the range of 200 plus miles. And that even if they did attack, that torpedoes couldn't be used in the harbor, and Japan actually made design torpedoes that when dropped from a plane would actually just skim the water and stay really close to the surface instead of crashing into the bottom. And those two inventions really help Japan with this sneak attack. That's it. So we've covered some of the why the attack happened on Pearl Harbor, and we've covered some of the equipment that was used for the attack on Pearl Harbor. The next step for our next class is going to be what some of the results were. You saw some of the results of it in the video, but the next class will be covering more in detail how the U.S. got into the war, some of the effort that was put into building back up our Navy, how we hit Japan back, and then also how that impacted our push into getting into the European theater of World War II. So before we're done, what I'd like you guys to do is pull out your journals, and what we're going to do is I need, like Coach Jensen likes to say, the 4-finger rule. Okay, I need you guys to write about 4 fingers worth of writing on your journals, and please make sure you use at least 3 of the vocabulary words that you have on your list. And then before you leave, I'm going to need all of your vocabulary lists turned in because I'm going to grade them. All right? Any questions?